Greetings. Thank you very much for joining us today. You are watching This Is My Health. In this season, we are talking HIV/AIDS and related issues. Issues of reproductive health, issues of infectious diseases, and issues of general human sexuality. We are going to be unpacking one of the very difficult issues in HIV today. HIV and AIDS, the second generation. I have some very special guests in the studio who are coming to join me today, and they will be helping us to understand a little bit more about this issue of HIV, the second generation. I thought there were two of you. What has happened to the other one? Oh, there
She's
she
my
comes.
caregiver.
Yes.
Give her time.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining me at Cafe This Is My Health. Would you like them to give you anything?
Please, I would like to have crackers, nuts, and some grapes.
That sounds healthy. Yes, ma'am.
A glass of water, some nuts, and some grapes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now, I have not introduced you to my audience because I like it when people introduce themselves. I know that you won't get it wrong. Let's start with your caregiver. You said that she's your caregiver. Yes.
I'm Onalena Lemu, the caregiver for Bakang.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Kibidwa Bakang Itumela Kharbato. I was born and raised in Sorowe, but decided to conquer the world, more especially in social issues related to HIV, as someone living with the virus.
As I have said to my audience that today we are looking at HIV, the next generation. That would mean we are looking at people who have had HIV transmitted in various ways beyond what is normal. Malem, would you like to, because you are a caregiver, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah.
With the adolescents and the ages and the like.
Thank you. We have young adults who were born with HIV and AIDS. This was not acquired from any other thing like poor use of condoms or accidents or any other form of transmission, but they were just born with HIV/AIDS because their parents had the virus, and so this is prenatal.
Okay, okay. Now, you say you are the caregiver for Bakang. Why are you the caregiver for Bakang? Bakang, you want to talk about what is it that you are struggling with or living with that makes you need a caregiver? You look like a fine young man.
For a fact, as a young person on its own, it comes with its own burdens. So living with HIV is an extra burden which will need support from everyone that is around you, including the caregiver, and most particularly the caregiver, because that is someone who is there full time and would help you, remind you when it's time for medication, and would also hold your hand to go to the hospital.
Okay. How did you get HIV? Would you like to talk about that? Are you comfortable?
I would love to talk about it.
Okay, let's hear.
I was born with HIV, but I diagnosed myself at the age of 7. And that is after I lost my biological mother.
When you say you diagnosed yourself at age 7, that's a very interesting combination of words. What do you mean?
I was taking medication, but didn't know what it was for. And the curiosity built within me and decided to go through my medical records. And that is how I found out that I was living with HIV.
In other words, they had not told you why you are taking medication?
No.
So what did you feel when you found out that you had HIV? What was your first reaction? You are a 7-year-old. What was your reaction?
I felt dying inside because it was recently after burying my own mother, and in my head I was like, I'm next.
Had they told you what your mother died from?
Yes, I knew, but the doctor sat me down and told me what was happening and what it means and how I really got the HIV. And connecting the dots in my own spot, that's when I thought I'm in my revelation days and I'm just counting days until then people start singing slow for me.
Yeah, that sounds very, very scary. Did you tell any of your friends?
No, because at school also there were conversations about HIV which are very not pleasant. So I would try to hide it as much as possible so that I would not be labeled as an example to the kind of conversations or maybe the transmission that people thought could be occurring just for touching other people or even sharing toilets. So I avoided as much as possible to identify myself as someone living with HIV.
So for the longest time, you hid
Yes.
your status from anybody around you?
Including my family, some part of my family members, yes.
At which point did you decide to talk about it and why?
At some point, I thought, you know what, I had to break free from this bottle because I couldn't fly my wings. I realized that I had a lot of potential, but I couldn't live up to it because of who I thought I was. And who I thought I was defined by people around me telling me how to live my life instead of listening to myself and doing the things that I really love. So that's when I decided, you know what, I need to let myself go. I need to start defining my own life and start living the life that I know I'm capable of having.
So how did you disclose or open up? Can you, because I'm thinking somebody's watching and thinking, oh, that's brave. And I wonder, how did he do it? What did you do to open up?
Disclosure is, I consider it as a process, and it starts with oneself, because the more you understand about what you are going through and the condition that you live with, it gets easier to explain to the next person, because knowledge is power. The more you know about something or a condition, regardless of what it is, the more and confident you will be to explain to the next person what exactly is happening.
So what happened?
I learned about HIV and also got to introspect about how my life was and how I could turn my life around, you know, because I knew that on the other side there was this bright future that I was hiding. And the more I kept it to myself, the more I kept it away from the people that I live around.
Brave young man, you know you are welcome to eat your food as you go. Thank you. Yeah, I know, this is very interesting. Malemwe, as a caregiver, what sort of advice do you usually give people who are in that stage process that he's talking about, who are wanting to disclose their HIV status but bottled, to borrow his words?
Normally, I try to talk to them and have conversation, make them understand that this is not the end. Instead, they should see this as, you know, a step towards their future goals. Because if they keep this to themselves, they hinder their own social progress in whatever endeavor. They should see the world as, you know, as it is for anyone else who may not be actually be having this condition. And the most important thing that I really emphasize it is adherence to treatment. Fortunately, this group of this cohort of people that were born with HIV, they understand the treatment regime that they have to go through, as opposed to those that have acquired it from other means other
Later
than
in life.
later in life.
Okay, okay. So what is your role as the support person? Do you stand by them when they disclose? Do you go with them, or you just tell them, or you discuss and then they go on their own? What normally is your
It
role?
really depends on who the person is and how they feel about they being alone, disclosing, or having somebody to handhold them in order to disclose. So sometimes it's important to be by their side so that, you know, you can give them courage to do so. Because really, getting to a point where you want to disclose, you are kind of making yourself vulnerable to your peers, to your family, to whoever is within your physical environment and social environment. So it takes bravery for you to do that. There are some who would want to be handheld, to have somebody next to them as they disclose. There are some that want to do it on their own because now they want to venture.
Yes, it's a journey
it's
that
a
one
journey.
went through. Before we go for a break, as our time is winding down, may I just ask, it's one thing to talk to your family. It's totally another to talk on camera, to be active, as you are saying, to be having clubs and going out to talk to people. What gives you the courage, you as Bakan? to stand up now in front and say, hey, world, look at me?
That's a very good question. I would take back to the time where I decided that, I need the world to know who I am. Because the primary reason was to let other people have the opportunity to be in my shoes, to know what I am going through. Because in normal occasions, we'll just have conversations about what is HIV, how is it acquired, and so forth. But we never get to see the people living their life. So I decided to use my life as an example to what has been talking about and where we are going, and also as a testimony to the science of HIV and how it works.
Thank you very much for that. We are going to go for a short break. When we come back, I would like to hear more about the story of your life. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. And if you're only just joining us, you are watching This Is My Health. And today we are looking at a special topic, HIV, the next generation. We have in studio somebody who was born with HIV and the person who is their support system, a caregiver. I hope that you are all going to be able to learn something from this discussion. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bakam, for sharing your story with us. I want to take you on another side of your story. You have shared with us how you discovered your HIV status at 7, how you have been on treatment, and how your mom died, and the issues that we're going through when you were in primary school. How far did you go in school?
I went as far as tertiary.
What are you qualified in now? Or what
Accounting.
You are
I'm
an
a professional accountant.
You are a professional accountant. That's
Yes.
well done. Good for you.
But I've also ventured into community development, primarily influenced by my HIV advocacy, because I wanted to change lives as a full-time thing, cultivating relationships at household level and at community level.
So in your community work, do you have an organization or some group of people you work with?
I work with a couple of organizations locally, St. as well as Stepping Stones International. That is where we offer different programs that are targeted in barriers of HIV new infections.
Santebala is an interesting name. A lot of our viewers don't even understand that language.
Yes.
What does it mean? It's a Setswana name. What does it mean?
It's a Setswana name which means forget me not.
Okay.
So it's basically just a psychosocial support organization that holds your hand and say, this is what you're going through. It helps with the acceptance and also understanding the state of living that you are in, and also cultivating you to have a better uplifting.
So generally there are people who are born with HIV who are in that.
Yeah.
And you don't want the world to forget you. That's an interesting name. So you are saying we should not forget you.
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very, very interesting. Now, talk to us about your journey. You have mentioned a little bit in primary school. How was it when you now entered the teenage years and you are getting into secondary school and tertiary? What are the challenges you're facing?
I had to drink water for that one because
I like that.
well, as you accelerate with level of education, also the challenges also becomes bigger. So because that's where now a part of life where people get to understand more of what is going on. You join the society bit by bit, and then you start having the societal norms about HIV and the conversations that I had at that level, primarily because of the understanding back at home and how the information is passed on to the next generation, which is the second one. So with me, during my time, it was now when it was at its peak. I faced denial for the longest time. I
Denial from who? From the society or from yourself? Or from
I would
people you're working
say
with?
both. It was influenced by the community, and because I wanted to fit into my community, so I would do a lot of things even out of desperation to feel part of a team or a group. And
things like what?
Playing football, spending more time with people, so, and also having the conversations about school itself and, trying to do better in my mark so that I get recognition for something and not be
Not
associated.
just be known as the
Yes.
man with HIV.
Yes.
I see what you mean.
Yes.
Yes, continue. We're talking about that.
So during that time, I faced denial for like 10 years, and a wake-up call came in when now I was diagnosed with pneumonia, and it was at its deadliest stage. And it's by God's grace that I'm still alive today, because
Were
even
you
the
not
doctors,
doing your treatment? How
I
could
wasn't.
you get?
I wasn't adhering well to my medication because I was living with my extended family, and some of them did not understand the state of life that I was in. So I would hide my status, and in their presence, I would not
You
take
not
my
take
medication. Yes.
So you felt like you always had to hide to go and take your medication.
Yes.
Malam, is that something that is common among the people that you support, that they struggle to take their medication?
It is very, very common. You know, the family or the people that are surround that person should really understand and know that this person is on treatment. Otherwise, if there's no disclosure, this person closes up and they'll try to hide their medication. Sometimes I even feel that maybe there could be bad packages which do not really show that they're on treatment.
But what makes you think it's HIV and not high blood pressure? I mean, these are just pills. What makes us feel that the kind of pill that somebody's taking is a different pill? Or do people ask and say, what are you drinking the medicine for? And you're like, oh, it's not HIV. What
you know what?
Yes, what?
When you have conversation with people or listen to what is on the ground, you know that people know even the color of the tablet, even
the container.
So
even if you took it out of another container, they look at, that pink one. Okay,
the common label to them was Smarties because of the colors. They came in different colors.
Then you should have taken the bit Smarties, the proper Smarties. Whatever Smarties are. Anyway, okay, so that's the concern, that people then don't take their medication because of the stigma around that, and that goes with it, and that you became a victim of that. You are not taking, and then you end up pneumonia. I didn't ask, if you don't mind, how old are you? If you mind, you don't have to answer.
I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm 28 years.
You are 28 years.
Way for my 29th, yes.
So you have been living with the virus for 29 years.
Yes.
And so you have had only one major episode of that pneumonia at that time?
Yes.
And after that, you decided, I'm going to walk the straight and narrow path of taking treatment.
Very true.
Okay.
And it's very uncommon for people to understand that someone can live with HIV for 29 years. So that itself is also a life turning point, you know, to get to understand what really is happening, and the stereotype that is associated with HIV is also broken at that point.
Can I ask you a very private question? Do you date? You don't have to answer. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to answer.
I advise people who are in relationships.
And you don't get into them yourself?
No, not yet.
Okay. But on a serious note, do you think that it will be a barrier for you to approach a girl if you found a girl you are interested in because of your HIV status?
No.
How come? It seems that people out there look at it as a barrier.
Well, yes, out there, yes. But with me, because of the level of knowledge that I have regarding HIV, if I find out that someone has less information, I find it as an opportunity to teach. Okay. So with me, dating is not just something that I meet you today and say, let's go out tomorrow. There is a talking stage, there's let's get to know each other stage. So during that process, that's when now you have the opportunity to also talk about such issues and also have promote HIV testing services and so forth.
Do you find that it's necessary for you to disclose your HIV status to your potential girlfriend before you go out?
Very encouraging, because at that point now you're considering your partner's state as well. If maybe you have family planning, having to have put that on the table, now you have that option to explore, say, okay, but this is where I am, my viral load is here, this is the precaution that we need to take, and also as my partner, you may need to enroll in PrEP medication if need be. So yes, it's very advisable that when you're in a relationship, you disclose, but not necessarily like instantly, because you will never know where that information
It's
may
going to
land.
happen. Because when we are talking, I'm thinking, you disclose to the first girl, she runs away. You disclose to the next one, she
Yeah.
runs away. After a while, so issues are so the whole village.
Everybody knows, yes. So it's very important to know who you're disclosing to. If it's just one person or a group of people. So you have to study them first to learn their perspective when it comes to HIV. And then, like I said, if it needs correction, you get to do that before disclosing about your status.
As a health worker, what advice do you give to, I've heard as somebody who lives with it what it says, but what advice do you give to people who come to you with that very question that I'm interested in this young lady and I want to talk to them? What do you say to them?
In the process of caring, there is a point when you need to usher the person into adulthood. This is when you talk about sexuality and, you know, what they will experience in life. And for me, I always guide them that it is very important that they disclose to this person post knowing them. And Bakang's, you know, journey of knowing a person, understanding that person is the right path, because you have to know the person that you are disclosing to. You know, they should have the understanding and the knowledge. The knowledge level is very important. He should also hone his skills on being able to assess this person, because it is pointless, Bagang, to disclose yourself to somebody that you see that they don't even have a clue of what living with HIV is all about.
Yes.
And acquisition, you know, how you acquired it, you know, because normally you find that in this condition there's a blame game. People don't really understand that you would have acquired it unknowingly, like Bagang's case.
Because our time is running out, I'm going to let each one of you for a minute or two talk to a special group of people, church members. Because I know both of you are practicing Adventists, and church members sometimes ignore the reality that even in the church there are people who live with HIV, and sometimes our behavior and towards each other betrays our thinking. So what would you like to say to the young people in the church, Baka?
First thing, I would like to encourage them to own up their lives, have the voice to speak for themselves, because at the end of the day, it's your life. So it's between you and God to know that, you know what, this is where I am and this is where I need to be. So having to accept that on its own is the first step. And then now surrounding yourself with people, a safe space, creating a safe space for you within the church to say, this is what I'm going through, and we all need a shoulder to cry on. And having those people as young person or young people, you know, it gets even better because this is the same voice.
Thank you. Malem, do you have anything that you want to say?
Yes, definitely.
To your members.
I think this is the very most important thing to consider. Our church members should know that we live in a community, and in this community, this is where we go out and evangelize. And the very people that we evangelize to, we don't test them, whether they are HIV positive or not. They come into the church, they become part of our community. So really we should be mindful of our language, because sometimes we seem to think that there are other ways of acquiring HIV/AIDS which are not compatible with our faith or what whoever we are. So it is important that people know that the people that come into church may be HIV positive. We need to have support systems within the church. Somehow the church is very aversive to support groups. So we need to know that we need to support these people. Some of them are orphans, they need
much more
than the ordinary person who may be able to fend for themselves. So even our sermons should be crafted in such a way that they give people hope.
Yes.
Because the faith that we have in Christ is the one that gives us the living power.
Thank you very, very much. That's powerful. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, there you've heard it. I like the point that is ending on to say that let us be mindful of our language and interaction in all spaces of society, be it at place of work, be it at home, or in the church. Why? Because as we have heard Bakang's story, it took him some time to disclose to even his immediate family member. It is possible that somebody in your family is living with HIV or any other condition for that matter, that they are not comfortable to talk to you about. The way you behave, the way you talk about people who are struggling with such a problem will open the door or shut it. It is important for us to be the Christians that we claim to be. It's also important for us to be a society that is loving and welcoming, so that those of us who are struggling with some conditions in life may find the comfort zone to be able to come forward. I like the message that is being sent to those of us who are public speakers, leaders in communities, pastors. Let us be mindful that within the audience, there are people who are struggling with something, and they may have identified us as the people they want to come to for that solace and comfort. But the way we craft our speech may turn them away. I think that it has been a very solemn time to meet somebody who is actually living, but positive and thriving in spite of the virus that lives in him. I pray for all of you out there who may be finding yourself in that boat, that you too may find the courage that Bakang has found to live positively. Keep watching and look after yourself. God bless.